There's nothing more tragic than a person who walks through life holding the keys to freedom but never bothers to unlock the door. You see, the greatest prison is not the one with bars. It's the one built in the mind. And most people, they're not living. They're simply rehearsing their limitations. Day after day, they carry old beliefs like broken tools, trying to build a future with pieces of the past. But what if I told you that one shift, just one, could change it all immediately? Not eventually, immediately. A new lens through which you see your choices, your struggles, your power. And the moment you install it, your life takes on a new shape. Today, we're not just talking about motivation, we're talking about a mindset so potent, it rewrites the story you tell yourself. And once that story changes, everything else must follow. Most people never change their life because they never change their story. And their story usually sounds like this, asterisk. If only I had more time, if only someone believed in me, if only the timing was right, asterisk. But the problem with that story is it keeps you waiting. And life doesn't reward waiters, it rewards growers. The moment your story shifts from blame to ownership, everything begins to reorganize. That's the moment life says, asterisk. Now you're ready. Asterisk. When I was in my early 20s, I met a man who asked me a question that changed my life. He said, asterisk. Young man, how many books have you read in the last 90 days? Asterisk. I said, none. He said, asterisk. Then I can guess your bank account. 0 books, 0 growth, $0, asterisk. That might sound harsh, but it was the medicine I needed. I realized I was broke, not because of my employer or the economy or the price of gas, but because I had failed to take responsibility for my own development. From that moment forward, I made a decision. I wouldn't blame another person for what I lacked. If I didn't know how to manage money, I'd learn. If I lacked confidence, I'd build it. If I didn't have opportunity, I'd create it. That mindset didn't just move me out of poverty, it moved me into purpose. Taking radical responsibility means looking at every result in your life, your finances, your health, your relationships, and saying, asterisk. That's me. Asterisk. It doesn't mean everything is your fault, but it does mean everything is your move. And that distinction, that shift from reaction to response is where freedom begins. Because if it's your move, then you hold the power. The people who change their lives immediately aren't the ones with better luck, they're the ones with better standards. And a higher standard starts with this mindset. Asterisk. From now on, I don't wait to be rescued. I show up to lead. Asterisk. And once you adopt that mindset, life stops happening to you and starts happening for you. Let me tell you something. I learned early vision is powerful, but it's not magic. You can have the greatest dream in the world, but if you don't have the discipline to match it, that dream will stay in your head while life passes you by. You see, vision gives you direction, but discipline gives you motion. And without motion, you're just a stationary dreamer. Discipline is what builds the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. And the only way across is daily steps, not giant leaps. Now, when I started out, I had ambition. I wanted to make more money, live in a nicer home, dress better, speak better, lead better. But my results didn't match my desires. Why? Because I kept breaking promises to myself. I'd say I'd get up early, but I'd hit the snooze. I'd say I'd save money, but I'd spend it. I'd say I'd read, but I'd reach for the remote. And it hit me, desire without discipline is just frustration in disguise. Asterisk. One day, I made a new deal with myself. I said, asterisk, Jim, your word has to mean something to you, even when no one's watching. Asterisks. And that's where discipline begins. Not in public success, but in private choices. I started by waking up when I said I would. Reading 10 pages, even when I didn't feel like it. Tracking every dollar, even when it felt tedious. And let me tell you, those small disciplines, they changed my identity. I stopped being the guy who wanted to win and became the guy who followed through. Asterisk. As the old proverb says, he who masters himself is greater than he who conquers a city. Because the real battle is not out there. It's in here. And it's between comfort and commitment, between the mood and the mission. And every time you choose discipline over excuse, you build something no one can take from you. Self-respect. And that's the moment your dream stops being a fantasy and starts becoming your new reality. There's a truth about life that many don't want to hear. Your life today is the result of the standards you've kept, often without even realizing it. Standards aren't just about big declarations or fancy goals. They're about the quiet decisions you make when no one's watching. They're the lines you draw in the sand for how you allow yourself to be treated, how you use your time, and how you pursue your goals. And if your standards are low, your results will be low. If you want a different life, you must raise your standards permanently. When I first started in business, I was hungry for success, but I was willing to settle for whatever crumbs life tossed me. I thought working hard when I felt like it was enough. But then I realized the difference between those who achieved greatness and those who stayed stuck was not talent. It was the unwillingness to accept less than their best. They set a standard for themselves that said, asterisk, this is who I am. This is what I will not compromise. Asterisk. And that standard became their compass, guiding every decision. Raising your standards is not a one-time event, it's a lifestyle. It's deciding you won't tolerate excuses, procrastination, or half-hearted efforts anymore. It's the voice inside that says, asterisk, I deserve better, and I will settle for nothing less. Asterisk. This mindset shift rewires your identity. You stop asking, asterisk, why me? Asterisk, and start declaring, asterisk, who am I to accept anything less? Asterisk. And when you hold yourself to that level every day, you send a signal to the world that you're serious about your work, your relationships, your finances, and your future. Remember the words of Aristotle. Asterisk. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. Asterisk. When you upgrade your standards and refuse to drop them, excellence becomes your habit. It shapes your actions, your habits, your choices, and ultimately, your life. Once you set a higher standard and live by it, there's no turning back, because you realize that living beneath it is no longer an option. And that's where true transformation begins. Excuses are like chains, quiet, invisible, but heavy enough to keep you from moving forward. Most people live their lives wrapped up in excuses, convincing themselves that their lack of progress is because of something outside their control. But here's the hard truth. Every excuse you tell yourself is a refusal to take ownership of your life. And as long as you make excuses, you give away your power. When I was starting out, I heard people say all kinds of things. Asterisk. I don't have the time. I don't have the money. It's not the right season. I'm just unlucky. Asterisk, I used to be tempted to say those things too. But then I realized something crucial. Successful people don't have fewer problems. They simply refuse to let their problems be the reason they don't win. They find a way. They take responsibility, not excuses. I remember working hard at my first job, sometimes with little pay and long hours. It would have been easy to say, asterisk, I deserve better. Asterisk, or asterisk, this isn't fair. Asterisk. But instead, I chose a different path. I said, asterisk, what can I learn here? How can I grow? Asterisk. That shift in mindset meant I stopped wasting energy on excuses and started investing it in solutions. I began to see obstacles as challenges to overcome, not as reasons to stop. The philosopher Epictetus said, asterisk, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Asterisk, excuses are simply reactions that hold you back. To eliminate them, you must get honest with yourself. When you catch yourself saying, asterisk, I can't because, asterisk, stop and ask, asterisk, what am I choosing instead? Asterisk. Because there's always a choice. You can choose excuses or you can choose progress. And once you decide to refuse every excuse, life starts to respond. Doors open, opportunities arrive, and your mindset becomes unstoppable. Because the moment you stop explaining why you can't, you make room for doing what you must. That is the mindset that changes your life immediately. Goals are important. They give us direction, a destination to aim for, but they're nothing without the actions that bring them to life. I've seen many men and women with big dreams, grand visions, and lofty goals, yet their lives remain unchanged because their actions don't match their ambitions. The truth is, the world rewards what you do, not what you say you want to do. Your actions are the real proof of your commitment. I remember a time early in my career when I wrote down goals that were so bold they scared me. But for a long time, those goals were just words on paper. I'd talk about them, dream about them, but when it came to the daily discipline, the hard work, it often fell short. Then I realized something. Talking about a goal is like planting a seed, but action is the water and sunlight. Without consistent watering, the seed dies. Without consistent effort, your goals remain just wishes. One of my mentors once told me, asterisk, don't tell me what you want. Show me what you're willing to work for. Asterisk. That stuck with me because it cut through all the noise. If you want to change your life immediately, you must stop telling and start doing. You must show up day in and day out, even when motivation fades and obstacles appear. Think of a man who says he wants to build wealth but spends more than he earns, neglects saving, and avoids learning about money. His actions speak louder than his words because his results will reflect those actions, not his goals. On the other hand, the person who takes daily steps, budgeting, investing, learning, moves steadily toward their vision. Your goals are the compass, but your actions are the footsteps. And it's the footsteps that carry you forward. So, if you want your life to change immediately, Stop telling people what you want to do and start showing them what you're willing to do. Because your future isn't shaped by your intentions, it's shaped by your actions. The way you speak to yourself in the quiet moments, the conversations you have inside your own mind, these are the true battles that shape your life. Most people don't realize that their inner dialogue is either their greatest ally or their most cunning enemy. If you want a mindset that will change your life immediately, start by becoming the champion of your own mind. Early in my journey, I noticed how easy it was to fall into a pattern of negative self-talk. I'd say things like, asterisk, I'm not good enough. Asterisk, or asterisk, I'll never figure this out. Asterisk. Those words, repeated over and over, became a script I unknowingly followed. But one day, I remembered the wisdom of Epictetus, who said asterisk. We are disturbed not by things, but by the views we take of them. Asterisk. It wasn't the challenge that defeated me, it was my thoughts about the challenge. As we come to the close of this conversation, I want you to remember one simple truth. The power to change your life is already within you. It's not out there waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect opportunity, or someone else's approval. It's right here in your mindset, in the way you choose to see yourself in the world, in the decisions you make every single day. You have the ability to silence excuses, to align your actions with your goals, to design an environment that supports your growth, and to speak to yourself with the voice of a champion. These aren't just habits. They are the foundation of transformation. And transformation isn't something that happens slowly or by accident. It begins the moment you decide to take full responsibility for your life and refuse to settle for anything less than your highest potential. So here's my call to action. Don't wait for tomorrow. Don't wait for motivation or perfect conditions. Start today, right now. Take one step, make one decision, hold one standard. Because when you act from that place of ownership and clarity, you set off a chain reaction that will change your life immediately. Your future begins the moment you choose it. Choose wisely. Choose boldly. Choose ownership.